Alright, so let's do an honest evaluation about the Fizz. How much I want to adore and appreciate this keyboard, I just can't. I feel this is mainly a productive keyboard, meaning that you're not using this as your main gaming keyboard, but you're going to be using this primarily, say like secondarily to a controller of some sort, right? So if you look at it from a gaming context or a gaming perspective, that's how I particularly see this keyboard in a sense, is that you're using this from a gaming a secondary perspective. As a functional keyboard, it's okay. Very clicky clacky, as you can tell there, very clacky. The keys are clacky, and in order to access these special the special keys, what they're called, you have to press Fn and then hit it like that, right? So like you want to do Ctrl Alt Delete, you have to do Ctrl Alt Fn and then delete, but they don't register as often, right? That was one of the issues I had with this board, is that key registration, and there was input delays, and especially while I was gaming with it. And as soon as I plugged this into, because this is a wired version, so as soon as I plugged this into my PC just started going haywire. So I went into and like haywire, I mean like things started to lag, things started to go all omnidirectional. Yeah, it was bad. I said, you know what, let me try Redragon website, download the software, see what's going on. And there was no like updates to software, nothing like that, and then there's like no updates to the driver support or nothing like that, and it was just a bad experience overall. And then I'm like, all right, well, I'm just gonna give it a benefit of a doubt. I unplugged it, replugged it back in, and then I decided to sit down and game for a couple sessions. You know, tried to game with it, was having extremely horrible input delay, and it talks about 8K, where's it at, it's these on the box right here, 8K input support, report rate. None of that shit goes on with this keyboard, okay? Heavily disappointed in this keyboard. First and foremost, it's a 60% keyboard. In comparison to other keyboards by Redragon, this is not a keyboard that you would buy if you're a gamer, in my personal opinion. You know what I'm saying? You buy this if you want something like when you're playing a controller, but you need a keyboard to do extra little tasks, and that's it. You know what I'm saying? Or if you're just need something that's just small, out the way, this is a second keyboard to your primary keyboard. That's it. You know what I mean? Because there are people out there that are like that. They have their workspaces set up like that, to where they'll have two keyboards set up, multiple screens, etc., right? So that's how I would look at this, as more of a productive secondary keyboard, but not a primary gaming or workspace keyboard, in my opinion. Like I said, I did three things I experienced were input lag or input delay, input lag, input delay, input lag. There was just like, I don't know what happened during the process of plugging the wire in and connecting it to the PC, but it just started to go all haywire. I decided to stream with it, and it was all on stream and everybody saw it, and you know, I just couldn't deal with it. And as I was gaming with it, as I was trying to do like inputs I would normally do, like I'll hit the button, and then it just wouldn't respond, right? So I had unresponsive keys, had input lag, and at the same time, there were just things that you're supposed to do with this keyboard in order to activate certain micro keys or whatever, and they just weren't responsive, you know. Obviously this is me just speaking of my sample size of one that was sent to me by Redragon, so obviously there's no loss on me of that. But like I said, I wouldn't recommend this as a primary gaming keyboard if that's what you're looking for. I will only recommend this as a secondary gaming keyboard that complements your controller if you need extra keys to do things for RPGs, etc., whatever the case may be, or tactical shooters, whatever the case may be. And I would also only recommend this for like something like a secondary productive keyboard, right? So this is not your main keyboard. This is something that is secondary, but it's still plugged in, and you have your main full keyboard that you use to work with, and then the secondary productive keyboard, or whatever the case may you want to call it. So that's my overall take on this. And like I said, if you want to know any more small, like I said, the website does a really good job at giving you all the details and all that and features and all that. Honestly, I was expecting this thing to kind of run and perform kind of good, but I had issues with it out the gate, from plugging it in to the PC updating itself, the computer updating itself and recognizing the keyboard and updating the key, updating itself to the keyboard, to trying it in game, having input delay, keys just not unresponsive keys, the whole nine. I just was not a fan of this whatsoever. I let you only use it for like 1 or 2 games and like 1 or 2 sessions, and then immediately unplugged it and put my Behemoth back in. Yeah, honestly, I'm not going to say to avoid this keyboard. I'm going to say that this keyboard is, in my opinion, my personal opinion, with my sample size of 1, this keyboard is not meant to be used as a primary gaming keyboard or primary workspace keyboard. This keyboard is meant to, in my opinion, be used as a secondary gaming keyboard to your controller, or a secondary workspace keyboard for if you just need that additional keyboard, etc, etc. Like I said, there are people that do that. I know people that do that, that use multiple keyboards, multiple screens, and the whole nine like that, right? So if that's your steez, then having this one would be great as a secondary keyboard. But as a primary keyboard, it lacks all the features, the functionalities, the input report, all of that. It just lacks it, in my personal opinion. So I can't recommend this whatsoever. But if you want to, like, this is only from my sample size of 1, so if you want to give it a shot, go ahead, go right ahead. Honestly, I'm never going to touch this keyboard again. My personal experience, this keyboard almost made me rage live on stream. That's how bad the input delay was. That's how bad the keys were just unresponsive, trying to game in a high speed setting like Delta Force. So it was just bad. I couldn't do it. And then there were certain keys that I needed to touch and do while I was playing the game or working with other programs, and those keys are just not there. So I wasn't able to like do anything, you know what I mean? Or they are there and they just weren't responsive because of the double input. Like here, where you got the up, down, right here button, you have to press F in and then do that in order to activate that. Sometimes that stuff just doesn't work. It just doesn't activate. It just does not want to respond. And so because of that, and because of my initial I hate to put it this way, because of my initial experience with this keyboard, this is definitely going to get a thumbs down from me, and this is something I would not recommend to anyone serious about upgrading their gaming peripherals. Redragon has way better keyboards that are much more fully functional, much more responsive, much more intuitive, and look way better than this if you're looking for the aesthetic appeal as well. Other than that, I do thank Redragon for sending this out to me to look at it, to check it out, to see what it is. I understand that it's a hot commodity, but I can't understand how this is a hot or not hot commodity, but it's a hot topic or whatever how they wanted to put it. But to me, this just lacks all the things that I need in an actual true solid gaming keyboard. The Behemoth has just been hands down the best performer for me, 100%. So and the ESA Pro, I like the Behemoth Pro and the ESA Pro. Those two I just swap back and forth depending on what game I'm playing. But I tried this one, and I had such a bad experience that I just could not even capture gameplay with it. That's how bad the experience was. I just had to like stop. So I hope this helps you guys make a more informed decision based off my experience when it comes down to the Redragon Fizz. K617. Like I'm just going to end it here. I just can't recommend it. So that's it.